you know, it just comes to my attention that these data centers, AI, I'm not saying the bubble's popped. It's just you're going to be seeing a sector rotation happening. Now, mind you, I'm just talking and you never know. Maybe these stocks go another 1,000%, right? But from what I'm seeing is these companies are still making profits, but that doesn't matter. Wall Street already bought these shares to drive up future expectations. Even though the PE ratio says that it's good, doesn't mean anything. Micron was $300 in March. Western Digital was $250. SanDisk was $1,000. You know, these memory chips, I'm not saying they're gonna go to zero. What I'm saying is there's so many other options in the market. You look at Microsoft, you look at Meta. Obviously, PE ratio isn't really the most compelling thing. But what people liked from Micron and all these other companies is that they made revenues over 100%, basically 100% of their revenue year over year. That's insane. The issue is when you keep expecting 100%, 100%, Micron's not gonna go to zero. It might go to 400. It might dip. It might go back to 800. Retest. Remember, I've been seeing these news that banks are relocating assets. Like I'm gonna sell this to put into this, seeing which ones make more sense. And to me, I'm just thinking, well, if I've already made 1,000%, 100% on this stock, I'll just sell. And interesting today, even though the Nasdaq, Dow Jones was actually up today. Dow Jones was actually up. The Nasdaq, see, that's why I'm not really thinking that's a crash, because the Dow Jones was up today. But then when you look at the SPY was down. So what does that mean? That means the companies that are the 500 club are not doing too well, but other sectors are doing well. If you look at software did great today. You look at ServiceNow, Salesforce, pre-market was terrible, but then you saw some stocks rise up. And that just tells me that there's still buyers in the market. Some of these stocks have gone down 30%, 40% from their highs. And I think those are better opportunities than chasing Micron at 1,300, 1,100. 800 for Micron is not terrible. But honestly, after seeing Wall Street kind of sell off very heavily on it on one day, and I think it might continue. Remember, the stock market, basically, you buy shares of a company for years and years and years, right? Years and years, or weeks, or days. And you expect one day someone else is going to buy your shares for a higher price than you paid for. So, do I think someone's going to buy my Micron shares at 1,200 in 2 years for $2,000? I don't think so. Do I think someone will buy Microsoft when it goes to 500, 600? I believe so. I believe so. Microsoft is one of the most profitable companies. Uh, who's buying these data centers? Who's you know I do think these companies are paying too much for these data centers, but that's something for the future. And obviously, these memory chips are a big part of AI. But I think if we take a little break off the pedal, we take our foot off the pedal on these memory chip stocks for a little bit and relocate those earnings or gains from those AMDs, Micron, SanDisk, Western Digital, and put it to these stocks that have been beat down. Adobe, uh, Salesforce, Palantir, even the defense sector, defense, Lockheed, those type of things have been very, very rocky. It reminds me when United Healthcare got beat down by basically 50%, and United Healthcare is actually doing pretty good now. All insurance companies are doing well. Healthcare, Medicare, those type of Oscar. Look at Oscar. Oscar's doing amazing. It went from $16 to $30 basically. Wow. I still think there's still room to grow on it, to be honest, but I think, the gains, there's going to be some profit taking. Remember, for the most part, even during crashes, the money is still there. It just gets rotated out to other places. What I would like is if we take the break off, we take our foot off the gas pedal on these memory chip stocks and put into these other companies that are doing well but have been underperforming. Why? Because the SPY wouldn't drop so hard. You look at SpaceX. SpaceX was included into the NASDAQ without anybody's approval. SpaceX has a valuation of $60. That its true valuation. That's what their earnings say that their true value is. SpaceX is trading around $160. Basically how it opened on IPO. Would I buy that? No. It ran up to 220. I felt like it was gonna run up and then it was going to crash. The reason being is people love Elon Musk. I don't know. Tesla's overpriced. I think Rivian is a better buy than Tesla, to be honest with you. There's a lot of risk to Rivian, but they're profitable. They're turning profitable soon. Yeah, it's just interesting what's gonna happen tomorrow. Hopefully, the NASDAQ doesn't get hurt by too much. Those profits that people have gotten from Micron, from these memory chips, they go into other allocations of the market, so NASDAQ doesn't get hurt too bad. But yeah, Pokemon's doing amazing. I just think this is not gonna be a favorite opinion, but have you guys looked at Champions Path, Pokemon Go, Vivid Voltage ETBs? There's barely any on market. Nobody wants those. What stops someone from buying the whole market from Pokemon Go ETBs? And the anniversary is coming up for Pokemon Go. the 10-year anniversary of Pokemon Go is pretty soon. You know, you can say that the cards are cheap or they're trash. It doesn't matter. The ETB itself is a collectible. The Pokemon Go ETBs, Pokemon Go will never happen again as a set. It will never happen again. What are they gonna call it? Pokemon Go 2? Same thing with Pokemon 151. They're never gonna do Pokemon 151 ever again. But Pokemon 151 is already crazy prices. Would I rather buy Pokemon Go or Pokemon 151? For $2,000, I can buy a case of Pokemon Go. Or I can buy $2,000 of Prismatic Evolutions. Obviously, Prismatic Evolutions will outperform Pokemon Go. Maybe. You know, who knows? I've been thinking that's the question I've been thinking. Champion's Path. Champion's Path has a Charizard VMAX, a pretty iconic Pokemon era, whatever. But if we don't get any reprints of these new sets, would I rather buy modern? Honestly, yeah, I would rather buy modern. If the reprints don't happen, I would rather buy a case of Destined Rivals booster boxes than a Silver Tempest booster box. If those reprints don't happen, that means there will be less supply of the Mewtwo cards, less supply of the Garchomp cards, the Ho-Ohs, the Moltres. If reprints don't happen, if Prismatic Evolutions is basically out of print. Unless Pokemon does some crazy things where they send crazy amounts, a tsunami of ETBs into the market, it's not going anywhere. If I were very optimistic, I would buy a specialty set like Pokemon Go, Champion's Path, iconic sets like that. Shining Fates? No. That's terrible. Obviously, Prismatic Evolutions would be better. No, like I'm serious. I wasn't sarcastic or anything. I was just saying Shiny Fates because, you know, just thinking. But Prismatic Evolutions, you have $2,000 card. The Umbreon EX is the closest thing we'll ever get to with Pokemon as a rare card of the modern era. There's only 6,000 copies of that card, but then the Charizard EX, you have around like 20,000 copies. Honestly, how popular Umbreon is and how popular Prismatic will be, I don't see Umbreon EX is going down in price. Everybody loves modern more than vintage. I would rather invest in modern than vintage Pokemon. Why? Due to the fact that we have so many new people that don't care about vintage. They prefer the new artwork. The art of the card is what's driving the price. It's Pokemon fans just love the artwork. Why is a Mew, the Bubble Mew, in a PSA 10 going for $4,000 when cards from the XY era with a pop less than 1,000 are only going for $3,000, $5,000? It's because we are living in a hype built system. Hype is what builds demand. People keep talking about this set, that set's gonna go up. If your favorite Pokemon content creator talked about Pokemon Go tomorrow, I promise you, you'll have a wave of people talking about Pokemon Go and trying to buy Pokemon Go. Watch, once the 10-year anniversary happens, you're gonna be seeing Pokemon Go ETBs going to 250 at least, 200. I don't think 300. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants Pokemon Go ETBs. Honestly, it's more of a buy it and forget it set. You could have bought those for $40. And where are they right now? $160. You would have quadrupled your profit. But that's all I gotta say for now. You know. And if you bought Prismatic Evolutions, right? At $100, you only would have gained $50. I think people forget why Pokemon is investing is something you can invest in, right? Everybody thinks collectibles are an investment. You know, the dollar is is at its strongest point right now. What's gonna happen when the 30th comes out? Who knows? But I, as a collector, investor, whatever, you know, investing in Pokemon, right? I think if you really, really want to make profits, you have to be a collector, a smart collector. Collectors don't look at what everybody's talking about. They look at things like the holos that nobody's ever gonna want, the holos from Pokemon Go that no one really kept, the holos from those premium boxes with the stamp, those stamps with destined rivals on them, those stamps with, you know, just those stamps, like, or holos, just holos. You know, we have GameStop promos going for like $500 in a PSA 10. Do you know what Pokemon Go holos with the logo on them go for? They go for $200, $300. And guess the pop. The pop is less than 200. And I promise you, most people don't have those holos from Pokemon Go. Scarlet and Violet is going to be a very good era, but Sword and Shield is going to go up. Maybe not this year, but next year. I just feel like we might see some downturns in the market. I don't know. It won't even be a downturn. It's like a stagnant. Like, we won't be seeing any crazy moves anytime soon. I think all the easy money has been made. Perfect Order booster boxes aren't really going for much. Mega Evolutions, they're going for like $300. Phantasmal Flames, $400. But are we ever gonna get reprints? That's the question. Are reprints ever gonna happen? Story for another day.